Hello everyone, Charles here, voice coach at Europa. Okay, today what I'd like to do is take you through the basics of a handstand and how to shape it properly. And what I'm going to do is break it down into 4 separate elements, starting with the position of the hands and the wrists, the pelvis, the torso, and then on to the arms and shoulders. And then after that, I'll show you how to incorporate it into the actual handstand. Now, this is something for all of you, mums and dads and kids. I don't want you to think this is beyond you, mums and dads. I didn't do gymnastics as a kid. I'm going to be 50 this year. I'm 6'3", so if I can do it, so can you. So let's go. Okay, starting with the wrists and hands. Now, this is obviously very important because this is the support to our handstand, so we have to make sure we position it in the right way. Now, what I want you to do is imagine that you're picking up something like a Swiss ball or a beach ball or something like that. And what you do, spread your fingers and imagine you're trying to pick it up. You're trying to grip it and pick it up. Now obviously that's going to be quite difficult, you can't actually pick it up, you have to have a huge hands to do that. But try and imagine that's what you're trying to do, okay? So, when we put our hands down, what I want you to do is feel like you're gripping the floor and engaging the whole hand, okay? What this will do is you'll feel the base of your wrist lift up a little bit, and this will make sure that you take the pressure off the carpal tunnel so you don't have any wrist issues in the future. Now, if you don't have flexible wrists and you can't get your wrist to 90 degrees, what you can do is just turn the hands out slightly, and this will enable you to get your shoulders over the hands in the actual handstand. So, there we go. Okay, onto the pelvis. Now, we need to learn how to isolate the position of the pelvis itself in the beginning. So what I'd like you to do is a little exercise where we just learn how to isolate the position of the pelvis, rocking it backwards and forwards from posterior tilt to anterior tilt. So we're sticking our bum up and out like that, and then we squeeze our glutes in and bring our tailbone under like that. So just little movements back and forwards, just isolating the pelvis itself. Now in the early stages you'll probably feel like your whole body's going or something like that, and it's quite difficult to isolate that particular movement. But in practice you'll get it. So just think about the pelvis itself. One analogy is the fact that you can imagine the top half of your body cut off here, and that you're trying to pour water out the front and pour water out the back. Okay, once we've learned how to do that, the position we actually want is a posterior pelvic tilt. And we do that by squeezing our glutes in, imagining our tailbone is tucked under, and this will in turn flatten lower back and bring your stomach in. A lot of the ideas that we're going to go through in the handstand is about creating a strong back line to the body, and this will enable us to hold a strong straight handstand and have the joints on top of each other. Okay, so onto the torso and then the arms and shoulders. So what we're going to do here is, with the posterior pelvic tilt in place, I want you to try to round your back and push your ribs in as much as you possibly can. Now there's really no way of doing this too much. This is all to do with strengthening the back line of the body. So once we have that in place, pushed in, I then want you to try to raise your arms up overhead by thinking about going tall by elevating the shoulders as we open the shoulder area. Now, one of the issues that most people are going to have is shoulder flexibility. Now, this is something I'll probably cover in another video, but try to work with what you have for the time being. Now what will happen, you'll find that when you push your ribs in and elevate, the more you lift the shoulders up, the more the ribs want to stick out. And then the more you pull the ribs in, the more the shoulders want to come down. So what we want to try to do is maximize the difference as much as we possibly can, given what we have. Okay, so it's an ongoing process that we can work towards as we get stronger and more flexible. Now, just to see it from the front, so you can have an idea about elevation, what I want you to try to do is push the shoulders as high as you can. So this is elevation, this is depression, and from there just lift them up as high as you can so that you minimize the gap between the arms and the head. Okay, give it a go. Okay, so now that we understand the basic principles of the shape of the handstand, we're going to try and incorporate this into the handstand itself with two exercises to start with. One's going to be a front support shape, and the next one is going to be a prone handstand shape facing down on the floor. Okay, now the front support shape. So we're going to do this by being in a press-up shape, basically, with the shoulders over the hands. And what we're going to do is round the back as much as we possibly can. Now my back rounds quite a bit. Some of you will round less, some of you round more. But it doesn't matter, just try and do it as much as you possibly can. And then I want you to try and squeeze your bottom in so you have posterior pelvic tilt. And then from there, I want you to push your hips down a little bit so that you have a straight line between your mid-back and your toes. Now if you want to be extra tidy, you can actually point the toes too. So we're in this position. There. Okay, so now on to the next exercise, which is going to be the prone handstand shape facing down. Now what I'd like you to find is a stick of some sort. It can be a broom handle, doesn't matter what it is, anything that resembles a stick. Now, I happen to have a walking stick here, which works absolutely fine. Thankfully, nobody's using it at the moment. So, what we'll do is, lying face down, I want you to start by doing the posterior pelvic tilt, and that'll bring your stomach in off the floor. And then want to round your back as much as you can. And then, with your chin on the floor, looking forward, I want you to see how high you can raise your arms up off the floor. Now, that is actually a lot more difficult than it looks. It's actually quite difficult to raise the arms up. But just have a go and see how much, see if you can just get off the floor a little bit. It's actually a very good exercise to be able to shape the body and also get a little bit more flexibility through the shoulders with some active movement. Okay, now let's get onto our hands. So, if you've never done any handstands before and you don't have any confidence on your hands, I'd like you to start with this particular exercise. Now, a lot of people have fears about being upside down, being on their hands if they've never done it before. But if you start doing this, you'll be able to build up your confidence bit by bit, and you'll probably surprise yourself that you can hold yourself more than you think you do. So, what we're going to do is do a downward dog shape. That's quite famous in yoga, of course. So, in this pike shape like this, I just want you, again, you're going to round the back, elevate the shoulders, arms in the ears, and just feel that weight onto your hands, that's all, okay? It's just so you get an idea of the shape and the positioning and a bit of orientation as to where you are over your hands. Give it a go. Okay, so now on to the actual handstand itself. What we're going to do is a chest to wall handstand. Now it's important that we actually have our chest facing the wall because this promotes a good shape in the handstand. If we kick up with our back to the wall, this will often promote an arch shape. So it's very important to understand good shaping before then we turn around and learn to kick up. So with that in mind, what we're going to do is start with the downward dog shape that we did just now. And from here, what I want you to do, again with your arms by your ears, rounded back, locked in, I want you to just put one leg up and then the other leg up. And from there, round the back, arms by the ears, and see if you can feel that shape. Now, it might look hard if you've never done it before, but I think you'll actually surprise yourself. You can probably do it a little bit easier than you think. Now, if that's difficult, you can go a little bit further away and just get used to being up a little bit like that, okay? Literally just walk up and just do a little shake like that, just to give you a little bit of confidence on the hands. Have a try. Okay, and lastly for today, what we're going to do is an exercise that's going to build up a little bit of strength in the shoulders, and that will enable you to be able to get a little bit closer to the wall when you have a bit more confidence. Okay? So, this exercise is going to be a walk in and out. So, in the shape that we did just now, like that, into the shape. What I want you to do is just take a couple of steps out, a couple of steps in, a couple of steps out, a couple of steps in. There we go. Okay, there you go. There's your little introduction into handstands. Obviously, there's so much more to go with regards to starting to balance a handstand, and there's so many elements and exercises and flexibility exercises that we can be doing to actually improve the handstand. But it's a starter for you, and if you manage to do those exercises and understand the shape, you've really made some very good progress. Good luck.